why does it bother you? Yep. You say to yourself, why does this bother me? This is so important. This is the big work that I do. And this is just like a little, like, it's going to be harder for you to do because it's not going to be something that you're going to want to necessarily do because it's not supposed to be comfortable. And the more that you're waiting to be comfortable, the longer you're going to put things off. But when things bother you now, you say, why does this bother me? You don't blame anybody. You don't go because this person's being a jerk. No. That's not really why it bothers you. There's something underneath that you need to address. Is it you feel unheard? Do you feel unseen? That's not really by this person. Yeah, I mean, it's by that person. That's not really why it triggers you. It triggers you because it's a pattern, right? And you very often, and I've had clients do this all the time. Hey, I'm having a hard time in my marriage. Let's have a conversation. Fine. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm here for it. I'm going to hear you. I'm going to let you speak. But now we're going to go back to your childhood. And you're like, why am I going back to my childhood? I don't want to relive that. Well, then you're going to keep repeating the same patterns. If you're not willing to go back and not necessarily relive it, though, that is a big part of exposure, is by reliving it, by having different tools, by having different accountability, having different mindset on things, right? But then you get to start to heal that root so these things don't bother you. You know, you ever find yourself and you're like, oh my God, why does everything irritate me? Everybody bothers me. Everybody's voice bothers me. Everybody's chewing bothers me. Everybody's breathing bothers me. Yeah, there's a way deeper root behind that. Okay. And so you have to say, okay, what is it? Is it my anxiety? Okay, cool. That's not your responsibility, but healing it and or not healing it, but working with it and understanding it is. And when you can say, why does people pleasing, why do I feel like I have to do it? Okay. Why do I feel like I have to do it? It's not because of your boss. It's not just because you're afraid of losing your job. That's a part of it. That's just the symptom. It's way deeper than that. It goes way back in time. And that's why you can't necessarily do this on your own. You can always holler at your girl, I got you. But it's like, you can't heal this by yourself. But being aware of it is where we got to get you. So being aware of it and then being able to really say, oh my, this is my responsibility. My mom and dad were not who I wanted them to be, or my sibling was not who I wanted it to be, or going through that experience is not really what I wanted. Valid. That is so valid. But you got to know that you're here now. So we know what it could have been, should have been, wanted it to be. That's beautiful, but it wasn't. And we're here today. So dealing with this fear of abandonment, having the attachment, those things that are, and by the way, that might include medication. Yeah. Yes. And that means you take your medicine, right? That means you take it. And I studied holistic medicine. I believe in pharmaceutical and holistic together. I feel like there's a place in the world for both. And it's like proven. But here's the thing with that is that you can't say you want to feel better, but then you don't want to deal with your past stuff. You can't keep expecting Becky over here or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whoever to heal this stuff back here because you haven't dealt with it. Okay. And the best way to do that is to once again say, why does this bother me? And then be honest about it. You're going to have to stop with this emotional responses. You're going to have to stop with that. Your self-sabotage comes in because you have these big goals and these big things of like, I want to feel better. I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, but I'm starting to feel better. I don't know if I deserve to feel better. Like there's a lot. So if you know you want to feel better, but you sabotage yourself, today is not your problem. I mean, it's created a problem. Your past has, but today isn't what we just need to fix. We need to Band-Aid this while repairing this. See what I'm saying? You're Band-Aiding this to actually go to the deeper root to repair. But you can only repair the stuff that has gone back in time. You can't undo it. You can't keep wishing it to be different. You can't keep living in the victim mentality of, oh my God, but if this was different, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Okay. And so this is the part that you got to get clear in. This is your responsibility. No one has to save you. No one has to make you feel better. But you've got to accept that you need to uncover what it is. So if you're like, okay, I know what it is. So now let's say, but by the way, you're not going to know everything that it is because some of the symptoms that have spidered off of this other stuff, you're going to have to backtrack it. And you'll be like, oh my God, I see how that works, right? But here's the thing. Even if you know what it is, yeah, you can't change the past, But you got to say, okay, that abandonment of this person not being there for me, I need to be there for myself today. And that does mean working possibly with me or somebody to help you relive that and know that you have the power now because you've survived it, but no need to live in that survival mode. But you got to be honest and you got to be willing to sit there and get uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to do the work. It is more uncomfortable to not do the work. It is, I promise you, it is more uncomfortable to not do the work than it is to do the work. But that means you can't keep blaming the spouse. You can't keep blaming this. You can't keep blaming your lack of boundaries. You can't keep blaming that. Why do you have the lack of boundaries? We know why you have the lack of boundaries. It's something back here, baby. So you got to ask yourself, why does this bother me? I'm afraid. Okay, great. Go deeper because that's just level 1. Well, I just don't want to be abandoned. Okay, great. That's level 2. Where did you feel that? Well, I just feel like, oh my God, I never knew like if there was a safe space at home. Great. Now we know where the trauma is. What does that mean? Bring it back up. Let me know what it is. You're here today. If you're living in a scarcity mindset, you're still living back here. Right? I get it. It's a PTSD response. I'm not saying it's wrong, but you got to realize what it is. And it puts the accountability back on you. Stop blaming other people. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Because the more you do that, the more they have power over you. Then you're waiting for some weird apology that you'll never get. And if you get the apology or their why, it's never going to be good enough. You're going to have to say, radically accept here. Hey, hands up. Cool. I'm more important right now. Where I am is more important. So let me do the work. And that means let me take accountability of myself. Why does this bother me? Great. Let me book a session. Let me call somebody. Let me get on some medicine. Let me do, who knows? Maybe it's an assortment of things. Maybe it's all of the above. But you got to be willing to do the work and not blame. You got to be willing to take the accountability for yourself. You have to be willing to understand that even if you don't make those goals or you're lying to yourself, you're lying to other people, that's on you. It's not for anybody else to come and rescue you on a horse with their sword drawn, right? But it is your responsibility to do that. And yes, you absolutely can do it. Is it hard? Okay. Yes. Again, harder not to. Is it painful? Yep. Is it more painful to not do it? Yep. Because avoiding it doesn't make things go away. We've had that conversation. Avoiding the gray elephant in the room doesn't make the gray elephant disappear. It's cat litter, right? You're putting it under the cat litter. It's still there. Litter still needs to be changed. This is the importance to it. Okay. And you got to get clear in it. And you got to be honest with yourself. To lie to yourself and to keep blaming other people, it's not going to help you. To keep going backwards and doing all that, not going to help you. It does not provide healing. Now you're just in this victim headspace, and that's not a great place for you to be in because you're not going to make those decisions that you need to make based in the right headspace. That's a fact. So again, don't say this person annoys me, that person annoys me. And maybe they do, right? People can be annoying. And you go, okay, well, I'm in distance from it. But it's so much easier to set boundaries when you understand what you need. And in order to know what you need isn't to be responsive and act in response to what these people did and said. No. It's to understand what you need that you might not have had 40 years ago, 25 years ago. Understand that and give that to yourself now. Give that to yourself now, but you got to be willing to put yourself as a priority. Got to be willing to be the villain in somebody's story. Got to be willing to do all of the above. If you're not willing to do it, then you might as well sit there and just say, listen, I'm just going to distract myself with socials, watch TV, do those things, not do my journals. That's on you. It's not for me to fix it. It's not for anybody to fix it. I will give you the tools. I will show you how to use those tools. If you don't use those tools, I'm not going to force you. It's on you, babe. I will always put the onus back on you because you are responsible for your happiness. Yes, you are. You are responsible for your healing. Yes, you are. You don't have to do that piece on your own. The happiness piece, you're going to have to figure out. We'll do that. We'll get you there, but it's your responsibility. It is not anybody else's responsibility. No one. And the sooner you accept that, and the sooner that you stop looking elsewhere and thinking that all your problems are just today, they're not. They're created from something deeper. So what you got to do is you have to get really clear with yourself when you start feeling those feelings, break out that negative journal of those 5 journals, and you say, okay, why is this bothering me? Because this person, put it back in yourself. Why is this bothering you? What are you afraid of? What rejection are you afraid of? What attachment are you afraid of? Where does it stem from? And that is how you get to the root. But it's going to be honesty. And even going back in time, it's not the first thing. It's always something under that. It's always something under that. You got to go to the why, beneath the why, beneath the why, beneath the why, beneath the why, till we get there. And you'll find that so many things that you're dealing with is going to trickle down to just a handful of things. And that's where you want to hear it, heal it. So again, ask yourself, why does this bother me?